Again, that clock isn't right, which I just did fix it, so I will purchase a new clock. So it's 6:58 right now.
Oh, you're right.
So I just fixed it. See, the cord's even out no more. I fixed it.
But it didn't work.
It worked at the time.
I think we need a new clock.
I need, I'm gonna.
Oh, don't we need for Peter to wait for Peter to be on here? Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, I have Council President Seymour, Councilor Braun, and Councilor Adamson are all on Zoom.
Okay, it's kind of lonely up
Right
here.
now, Brian Big is absent.
Okay. So are we ready? Are they ready?
Now,
I'll call the meeting to order of the Bandon City Council, Monday, June 3rd. Do you have the roll call?
yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. The first order is the invocation. Please stand.
Lord, you who set creation in order and made humanity to represent you and your rule in this world. Bless this meeting and our town leaders this evening. Thank you for them and for their desire and willingness to serve others. Thank you for the other members of the community here. Would you provide guidance, wisdom, and insight to consider matters and decisions? Would you enable all here to listen and to speak well, and that there would be unity and peace toward the aim of good for our entire community. Amen.
Amen. And this is John Simpson from the Pacific Community Church. Welcome. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Jerry Prosciutto.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To those of you on the Zoom who are wondering where our other counselors are, most of them are up there on Zoom with you. It's kind of lonely down here. Next item will be Greater Bandon Association with their Volunteer of the Month, Beth Patrick.
I think this is on. There we go. It's already on. Good evening, Madam Mayor and councilors here and there, and our city manager. It is my great pleasure to honor the June Volunteer of the Month, Deb Holder. In the mere 1.5 years that she has been a full-time resident of Bandon, Deb has made every moment count. She volunteers with Solve, dedicating her time to picking up trash on our beaches, and whenever her schedule allows, she volunteers as a parking greeter for Circles in the Sand. Last year, Deb played an active role in Farm to Families program at the Bandon Library, demonstrating her commitment to local agriculture and family support. This weekend, she will don the role of Garden Angel for a Native Plant Society program in Gold Beach, further showcasing her passion for environmental stewardship. One of Deb's favorite activities is creating edible delights for community events. She created vegetable bugs for the garden party at the Gooder Community Garden last summer. These charming creations were as delicious as they were delightful, and they were delightful. You were there, you saw them. They were great, yeah. And Jerry, you were there too, I think. Deb's primary dedication lies with Everyone at Table, our EAT program here in Bandon, where she devotes about 20 hours each month to the free Tuesday night community meals. Deb humbly describes herself as a worker and hostess, but in reality, she does a bit of everything behind the scenes, including preparing meals and cleaning up. She loves making the salads and vegetable soups, especially with fresh produce from the community garden. And also very recently, Deb has started donating earth-friendly containers to a local woman who distributes food to the unhoused. Deb, your dedication and hard work are to be applauded. On behalf of the Greater Bandon Association, we are thankful for all you do for our community. Deb is receiving a plaque. Engraved plaque and a gift certificate to the Wheelhouse Restaurant because you prepare so many meals for people, you get to have a meal that that you don't have to prepare.
Thank you.
So congratulations, Deb.
I think June's gonna take a picture too,
Oh, that's okay. Well, we've been doing it out in the hall.
or Madeline.
Okay.
Madeline
So
used
turn
to
your
take
back
them.
on, there we go. Oh, my husband's here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Deb. Okay, the next item are the consent calendar items. Is there any one of the consent items that anyone on the council wants to have removed to talk about?
Not me.
I do.
Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just curious about the police report and why DUIs are never listed as far as one of the items.
I don't know. Maybe that we could ask Tori if he could find out.
Yes, I don't have the answer tonight, but I will inquire with the chief and report back to the council.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second,
Been moved by Chris, seconded by Jerry to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to say aye up there.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can we, when liquor licenses come up, can we have them put into the agenda instead of on the consent agenda?
Well, all we do, we don't approve liquor licenses anyway. All we do is recommend approval. So we're just one cog in the process.
Okay, because the motion says to approve, so I was just wondering.
That's
Thank you.
not correct.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Guess that's approved. Okay. Next on the agenda is our public hearing items. Resolution 24-13, state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 24-25. Tori, do you want to give a report?
Yes, thank you. I will now defer to Paula Burris, who's the finance director with the city.
Thank you. The Budget Committee held a public hearing on April 29th to provide input for distributing state revenue sharing funds. The Budget Committee approved distributing $35,200 in grants to community partners and one-time funding in the amount of $39,400 to the Greater Bandon Association, totaling $74,600.
Okay. Anyone have any comments on this item? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
says
So
it.
moved.
Who was that?
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh, that we approve resolution number 24-13, declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing funds for fiscal year 24-25. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, if anybody on the council wants to say, does not want to vote, just say no, and that way we can hear that.
No.
Who said that?
Me.
You don't want to vote for that?
No, I vote no against it.
All right. I guess it's passed 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-1.
4-1.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is resolution 24-14, adopting the municipal budget and imposing and categorizing taxes for fiscal year 24-25.
For this item, the Budget Committee met on April 15th and again on April 29th to discuss the fiscal year 24-25 budget. The item before you is the approved budget and taxation for the next coming fiscal year. The total city budget is $39,261,644.
Okay, does anyone wish to weigh in on this?
I would just like to add that the modification to the organizational chart that's a part of the budget includes qualifying the finance director as a city treasurer,
Okay.
as discussed and directed by the council, and the reassignment of code enforcement to planning.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion to,
Madam Mayor, it says we should adopt the resolution. It doesn't look for motion. Is that any different?
that's how you adopt it, is with a motion?
Okay, just make sure. Usually they have the motion down. Go ahead, Chris.
Resolution 24-14.
Okay, it's been moved by Madeline, seconded by
I'll
Jerry.
second.
by Josh, that we adopt resolution 24-14. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
No.
All right, let the record show.
Do you want us to say aye also?
No, I guess everybody who wants to vote for it, this is unusual, so we're saying, Chris is saying no, all right? 4.3, resolution, urban renewal 24-1, adopting the urban renewal budget for fiscal year 24-25.
So again, the Budget Committee met on April 15th and April 29th to discuss the urban renewal budgets for District 1 and District 2. The item before you is the approved fiscal year 24-25 budget. The urban renewal district budget for District 1 is $717,152. District 2 is $649,720 for a total urban renewal budget of $1,366,872 for fiscal year 2024-25.
Okay, does anyone in the audience want to weigh in on this? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move we adopt resolution UR 2401.
Second.
Been moved by Chris, seconded by Jerry, that we adopt resolution number UR 2401. All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Now we're under new and old business, resolution number 24-08 of the council adopting the employee salary schedule for fiscal year 24-25. Paula?
The employee salary schedule before you has been updated for next fiscal year. The adjustments are based on collective bargaining agreements and past city practices. I'd like to note the city is currently negotiating with 2 bargaining units for public works and for the clerical and library workers. Once those tentative agreements are reached, the contracts will be presented to council for discussion. That's all.
All right, does anyone want to weigh in on this item?
I'd like to just ask, what was the standard practice for the city for the administration increase? Is it a percentage rate?
It's, the practice has been to take all the percentages combined and take the average. This
Okay.
time we have 2 organizations that we don't have a set percentage on, so we took the lower end at the 4%.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, do I hear a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to adopt resolution number 24-08. All in favor, say aye.
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 Next is resolution 5.2, memorializing an interfund transfer agreement between the general fund and the water fund for fiscal year 24-25. I guess this is Paula again.
Okay. The water fund does not generate sufficient revenue to cover its operating costs. This item is to memorialize an interfund transfer from the general fund to the water operating fund in the amount of $111,069. The fund balance in the water fund has been declining year over year, and the water utility is funded solely by user fees. With the council lacking rate-setting authority, the general fund must now subsidize the water fund for it to continue operations. And at this time, we haven't been able to identify a repayment source or schedule, so we don't have it as a loan. That's why it's an agreement.
Okay, any questions or concerns? If not, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
To approve.
Been moved by Jerry, seconded by Madeline, that we adopt resolution number 24-09. All in favor, say aye.
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 Unanimous of those present or not quite present. The next one is agreement for services with the Urban Renewal Agency for fiscal year 24-25.
I think we skipped one, the 5.3.
Oh, yes, you're right. Oh, yes, I saw the word memorializing again. I didn't realize it was there twice. All right, so we're going to do 5.3.
So this is very similar to the last item. With the council not having rate setting authority, the wastewater utility is also unable to recoup its operating costs. The item is to memorialize an interfund transfer from the general fund to the wastewater fund in the amount of $80,143. And again, a repayment source and schedule has not been identified.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about that or concerns? Well, we have concerns, but
Oh, I have big concerns,
yeah.
but go ahead.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to
Motion.
adopt resolution 2410.
Second.
Been moved by Chris, seconded by Jerry to approve resolution number 24-10. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? I don't think there's any opposed. Okay. Now we're on 5.4, agreement for services with the Urban Renewal Agency for fiscal year 24-25.
The Urban Renewal Agency does not have its own staff and contracts annually with the city to perform administration and services for the districts. The URA total of services is $138,270.
Any questions or comments? Not, do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt.
Second,
It's been moved by Jerry and seconded by Chris to approve the agreement with the Urban Renewal Agency. All those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye.
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 Unanimous. Okay, the next one is the Sprague Theater lighting purchase in the amount of $249,583.75 and authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Hollywood Lights. This is an example of the money that the city, how the city supports the Sprague. The Sprague is very important to the city of Bandon, and the Lions Club built it with their labor, and they raised the money, and then they gave it to the city of Bandon, I think maybe for $1. So, but we are, of course, the ones who have to take care of it, and the lighting system recently went down, and we were shocked to learn that it was $250,000 to replace. But this is a wonderful community asset, and this is what we have to do to take care of it. So do I hear any questions about that?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris.
So was Hollywood Lighting the only one out there that no one else does this?
We did try some other agencies or some other vendors. There are not too many that serve a small jurisdiction like us and a small library. Hollywood Lights is out of Portland. There are some companies we could buy the equipment from, but we need to have it installed as well.
Yeah.
So the general consensus, and after doing significant research, was to go with Hollywood Lights.
Do we get any warranty or anything with it? Like,
I can get those details. I'm sure there's some kind of.
Because I think these lights have been there for 20 years, haven't they?
Yeah, they
For
haven't even
22
been
years.
produced since 2003.
So do I hear a motion?
Paula,
Yes.
could you send us out, if you get that warranty, could you send us out a copy to the council, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So
And
there
that was my question too, was the same as Chris's.
there was no RFP needed or multiple bids or anything
We-
like that?
We did request multiple bids. We
Okay.
were even successful in finding another company that could give us a bid for product and install.
Do I hear any
Okay.
more questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the lighting and equipment purchase? Is
Motion to approve.
that Madeline?
Yeah,
Yep.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we approve the Sprague Theater lighting and equipment purchase. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 5.6, an exclusive negotiating agreement between the city of Bandon, the Bandon School District, and Dormy House LLC relative to the proposed joint workforce housing project located on 11th Street Southwest, south of Bandon High School, between Allegheny Avenue and Franklin Avenue in the city of Bandon. Tori, I guess you're gonna.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the city council. I would like to first introduce, we have the Bandon Superintendent here, Shauna Schmier, and our project developer, Matt Welter, in the audience. But with that said, city staff is requesting city council authorization to enter into a three-party agreement that would allow us to move forward with exclusive negotiations with the developer in collaboration with the school district. As you know, the project site was identified as a potential workforce housing development area. RFPs were circulated, and Matt Welter with Dormy Housing was selected as the preferred developer. Since that time, city staff has been working with the school district and the developer to obtain the required studies and information for the project engineers and architects to develop concepts. These concepts are still fluid, and subject to further revision. But with that said, entering into this agreement allows us to ensure that there is a date certain for completing the negotiations and completing the work that would allow for this project to move forward. That would include the development of a disposition and development agreement that would memorialize our responsibilities as a lead agency, the responsibilities of the school district and that of the developer, in addition to the required entitlements for allowing the development to move forward. And so collectively, we have assigned approximately 210 days for this to be completed. The provisions and stipulations in the agreement are detailed in the attachment. I would like to note one change, and that is on page 8 of the agreement under phase development, item 4C. In the, I believe, second paragraph, according to some revisions that we have recently introduced into the site plan, the phase 1 and phase 2 were comprised of one dormy house apartment for each project phase. And phase 1 would include 7 single-family homes and or a combination of condominiums for allowing a higher density to be accommodated, and that's subject to a separate agreement that the developer has to enter into with the school district for use of an existing ball field. And so that would be separate but contingent. Collectively, the objective here is to maximize the development opportunities at that site. And we have identified alternative locations for the ball field. But with that, that's a separate side agreement between the developer and the school district. And pending that authorization, could we then move forward with finalizing the site plan and establish the exact unit count? So that's still fluid and subject to revision. And on the last signature page, under the
Which is
page 15, no, I believe
16.
it's page 16. The following page, it has it as 1. The school district representative should be the superintendent and not the city manager. So we're going to make those editorial changes unless Shauna would like to be the city manager, that's fine. But
No.
Okay,
to correct that.
it's on page 1, right?
So with that said, we are recommending city council authorization to move forward with its execution. And we do have the 2 representatives who are working in partnership with the city here to field any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of either the developer or the superintendent?
No, just looking forward to this project.
Me too.
Okay, Shauna, you don't want to say anything or?
If you have any questions,
No,
I'll
yeah.
answer, but
Okay,
Is it all right if I say something?
sure, come on up.
Okay, great. I'll keep it quick. My name is Matt Welter and I'm the owner of Dormy House. Just want to start off by saying that we've reviewed the agreement. We've been back and forth and basically we've negotiated an agreement to negotiate. So everybody's on the same page. A little bit about me, just quickly, is that I used to work in the golf industry, and now I've been working for about 12 years as a developer in my hometown, as well as now out here in Bandon. We just finished up our first project at Bandon Dunes Golf Resort, which was comprised of 2 of these Dormy House apartments, which is where we get the name from. But what I want to kind of get into is that I don't know if anything I can say will necessarily ease everyone's constituency, but I'm all about just having enough housing. And that's like my goal, is to help people who are community members here in Bandon. I own a home here now since I've started working out here. I love it, but this is really something that's a worldwide problem. But my dream is to really help these community members who do provide a benefit to everybody who lives here, and that they cannot quite afford or find jobs easily here. The project in general, we're going to be going back and forth. I'm going to solicit a lot of feedback from the city, Tori, Dana. It's gonna be modest homes. When you hear the word apartment, I know that kind of scares people, but we have 3 site plans right now, and they all have the apartment set back. It'll be very nicely set out. The homes, we're trying to make them, like I said, modest, but place fit with the aesthetic of what's already in the area. Like Tori said, we're working with the school district to relocate the ball fields. So that's something that we've been working on, and that actually will help with some of basically maximizing the potential, like Tori said, I'm stealing his words verbatim, of the project. But it'll be a neighborhood. It's not just gonna be, or a nice little development. It's not gonna be something ostentatious or something that's an eyesore or anything like that. And we want to get community feedback as well. Down the line, we'll be holding some open houses so that everybody can see what we're doing and understand that this is a good project and it's gonna look good. But that's kind of what I got here. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out, and I'm happy to answer anything now or in the future.
How many housing units do you think you're going to have when the project's completed?
That's a good question, and right now it's kind of fluid. It just depends on the density and the housing type. We're hoping to have a nice mix of, well, we're not hoping, we will have a nice mix of some obviously the higher density apartments, then some medium density, I'd call it, kind of townhomes or duplex type situations, and then its own little section of single family detached.
So what would the range be? I know you can't give me a specific, would the range be 20 to 30, 30 to 40? What would the range be you're planning?
I would count more in the 20 to 30 range. Yes. Yeah. That's,
Now, will this be a
That's-
mix of, will they all be rentals, or will some be rentals and some be?
the apartments will be for rent.
Okay.
The homes we're planning on selling.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're still negotiating that, but the whole goal is, the city's contributing the land, that brings down our costs. And we're gonna do everything we can to pass on every cost to cost savings to the eventual end users, as well as discussing it, I don't want to memorialize anything, but basically kind of agreeing that this is for the betterment, and while we do have to make a profit, capping that profit, because that is what will
Sure.
make the project work best for everyone. Win-win-win, that's what I'm looking for.
Good.
Yes.
Matt, I just want to say thank you for partnering with the school district and the city for doing this project. I'm really looking forward to it, and I know that everybody appreciates it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Any more
Sooner the better.
comments? Sooner the better.
Yeah,
Yeah, shovel in the ground as fast as you
Shovel on the
can.
ground.
The only thing I could add is from a design concept, what we wanted to do is maintain the integrity of the existing single-family residential. So the single-family, one-story homes will be located directly adjacent to the existing homes. And it would allow for a duplex type unit that will be centrally located within the proposed development and allow for a very aesthetic and pleasing frontage on 11th Street.
Oh, that's good.
Will also allow for incorporating some revisions to the existing parking layout for the ball fields. And as Matt indicated, the apartments would be positioned towards the rear. So the aesthetic or elevation would be of the more decorative embellished homes. And that's conceptually what we're looking at, with the contribution of the value of the property provided by the city and the school district. We will prepare an agreement that will require that affordability covenants be recorded on properties that will be made available for sale, and they'll run for a duration of time. In addition to allowing for a blend of income levels to be accommodated within the development, whether it's in the single family residential component, the condominium townhome, or in the apartments. We're looking at creating a blend of income levels to target the workforce housing need.
Okay.
But the key is workforce.
Right.
It's.
Yeah, this is not low income housing. This
Yeah.
is what we need.
So those softball fields are gonna be relocated?
A single softball field is, we've identified a location. Actually, it's where the athletic fields are on June. One of them will be relocated, but they'll both be, to some extent, we have to discuss that. Obviously, the new one will be brand new. The other one, I plan / hope to update that one. The current one that's staying, it would be the most eastern field. But the western field would be relocated to June Avenue is the current plan, yeah.
Yes, our objective is to create a win-win situation for the city, the school district, and the developer. And in doing so, we want to ensure that the facilities, when we are done with the project, have been enhanced and upgraded. And as discussed by Matt, that would be accommodated on at the other location of the varsity baseball field,
Mhm.
and then updating and renovating the existing ball field to remain adjacent to the project site.
Okay. Madeline, did you have a question? Madeline?
I think she just got muted.
No, I think that was someone else.
Oh, okay. Well, whoever had a question. All right, if there are no more questions, do I hear a move to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, move to approve an exclusive negotiating agreement between the city of Bandon, the school district, and Dormy House. Josh made the motion, Jerry seconded it. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Let the record show it approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Shauna, for your part. All right, Resolution 24-11, authorizing an application for a transportation and growth management planning grant, develop a master plan for the donut hole. Okay, somebody, Dana, Tori.
Yes, I'd like to refer to Planning Director Dana Nichols.
Okay,
All right, thanks. Yes, we are intending to apply for a transportation and growth management grant, which is a program of the Oregon Department of Transportation and the Department of Land Conservation and Development. It's a grant program that allows you to look holistically at an area and do an integrated land use and transportation plan, which means we'd be looking at both what the zoning would be for the donut hole and then what the future transportation system plan would look like in there. This is the same grant that we applied for the transportation system plan update. Unfortunately, as part of that project, we can't get so granular as looking at the donut hole and the north, south, and east, west connections, which I know has come up recently as a major need for the city. So we would look at that as part of this grant. We're also intending to include an economic component, which would look at the economic impact of annexation of the area, what it would cost the city and what it would provide to us in the form of benefit. The grant application requires a resolution from the city council showing support for the application. Please let me know if you have any questions.
anyone have any questions?
Now, if I make a motion to adopt resolution 2411.
Second. Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to approve resolution 24-11. All in favor, say aye.
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 Unanimous. Okay, the next one is an important one. 5.8, 2024 Bandon Municipal Code cleanup pertaining to hotel parking standards, paint color approval in Old Town, commercial design standards, and the reorganization of Title 17. I'm just going to give a little background of that one as to how it happened here. We didn't realize that a motel, if a motel were to build in Bandon, you would need one parking space for every room. A hotel, however, only required one parking space for every 2 rooms. So here we had a situation where Marriott was going to build downtown, and they would have only had to have provided half the parking spaces that were needed. And that's when we realized what our ordinance said, and this is an attempt to repair that. You want to go on, Dana?
Sure, that was a great introduction to it. I would just go on to say that the other items in here, the paint color approval comes from the city has a pre-approved color palette for the architectural review overlay zone, which is primarily Old Town. The city staff can approve administratively any request for a new paint or a new paint on a building if it meets or if it's on the pre-approved color palette. Anything outside of that has to go to the planning commission for approval. Because of the timing of planning commission meetings, we only meet once per month. It can take a really long time to get that approval. So we did speak with the planning commission about making it a type 2 decision. So we'd still send notice to the neighbors and they would have the opportunity to appeal it to the planning commission if it were a really outrageous color, but otherwise they trust staff to make that decision for them. We also have just a clarification to the commercial design standards. We've gotten many questions about when they apply or don't apply. There's some exemptions. So we just clarifying that language there. And then the final change here is a reorganization of Title 17. Right now, each individual zone or each zone has its own individual code chapter. And most of those chapters say the same thing. They sort of reiterate the same setbacks and the same height, which adds a lot of length to the code. Also, it's a little bit confusing for people from the public. I give the example of someone will come in and ask us, I'd like to open a restaurant. Where can I do that? Well, we have to look through every single chapter to figure out where that restaurant can be located. So instead, what we'd like to do is reorganize the code and have things placed in tables. So it'd be, you know, all the uses and then all the zones and then an X where that use is allowed. We've got the example in here for you. And we'd be doing the same thing with all the standards. So just be much more concise. The other thing that the code cleanup will add in is some language around temporary uses and outdoor storage and outdoor uses. So for example, we had some folks who wanted to sell items at empty businesses on Highway 101. We didn't have anything in our code that said what to do and someone requested that. So this would add in a process for staff review of any sort of outdoor storage or temporary use of a property. Finally, the last part of the reorganization would be to move things from the supplementary provisions chapter, which right now is sort of a catch-all for all sorts of weird things, and move it into a chapter that after the zoning chapter, that would be all of the special uses. So it would include things like accessory dwelling, the residential care facilities, mobile food units, that sort of thing. So it wouldn't be hidden in the back of the code.
I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
For example, the old service station across the street. Do we have anything in our code about a falling down signpost there? Is there any way that can be, something can be done to that or?
I believe that falls under the nuisance chapter, and our code compliance officer has been working with the property owner to remedy that issue.
You know, it's been there 2 years. It certainly isn't a very fast remedy for the people coming into town and looking at that and wondering what's.
Yes, I was excited this morning when I came into work that I saw a crew out there doing some cleaning. They removed a lot of the debris that was left behind by the prior operator. But with that said, you know, I could take a look at the municipal code and determine whether or not we have the existing provisions that would allow us to require it to be removed. Oftentimes when you have, let's say, a legal non-conforming component of a use, such as a pole sign, if the code no longer permits pole signs, then the pole sign that was grandfathered or permitted to remain, that is no longer applicable if there's a certain period of time frame in which that building went unoccupied.
Right.
In addition, you wouldn't be permitted to reinstate it or expand it or enhance it. And so I'll take a look at the existing code provisions with Dana and the city attorney to see whether or not we have the current ability in the code to have it removed.
Because usually, I mean, I was on the council 40 years ago and we used the nuisance ordinance. We didn't have a specific ordinance for every single tiny little thing, but we used the nuisance ordinance regularly to take care of things like that. And it seems like we're going in the wrong direction because when you come into Bandon and first thing you see is a toilet with green water flowing out of it. And I understand that's not in the city, but then you drive a little while longer and you look at that service station and you say to yourself, maybe maybe people don't care about what things look like in this town. And that really concerns me because we're so nitpicky on something like the color of a building. You know, it's not the right green, and yet the building next to it is literally falling to pieces. There's lumber all over the ground. There's the shades of the windows are falling out, and yet we can't do anything about that, but we can stop a poor merchant who actually is trying to upgrade his building. And, you know, and that's just not the mindset that I would like to have personally. So I'm glad to see that we are at least addressing some of these.
Yes, I have also heard word that there may be a prospective tenant. I can't disclose any of those details, but if that's the case, in reviewing their application, that would be an area we would take a specific look at to condition its removal upon the approval of the use.
Okay, thank you. So do I hear any other concerns about the code cleanup? Not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to, go ahead, Jerry.
I will move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Jerry, seconded by Chris, to authorize city staff to initiate the 2024 Bandon Municipal Code cleanup pertaining to the following: hotel parking standards, paint color approval, commercial design standards, and the reorganization of Title 17. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Unanimous. All right, resolution UR 2402, agreement for services with the city of Bandon for fiscal year 24-25.
This is the other side of the agreement that you talked about earlier from the city. It's a request for the URA to accept the agreement for the city to provide administration, accounting, auditing, public works, and planning services for fiscal year 2024-25.
Okay, anyone have any concerns or questions about it?
So
Yeah.
those need two separate resolutions?
The city side is just your authorization. The resolution on this one is on the urban renewal side.
Okay.
So this is item number 5.9, UR 24-02. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adopt resolution UR 24-02.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to adopt resolution number UR 2402. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. The next one is the authority to accept assets transferred from the Urban Renewal Agency to the city of Bandon.
This is-
Tori or Paula?
This is resolution number UR 2403, which transfers the assets to the city of Bandon. The Urban Renewal Agency supports economic development and community improvements by financing public projects. There are 5 projects that are requested to be transferred to the city, and there is a typo on the 4th asset. It should be the VFW Memorial Park. I apologize for that. The resolution has been updated with the correct spelling. The city, once it's transferred, will be responsible for ongoing maintenance and the taxes.
Do I have any questions?
Have we ever done this before?
It hasn't been done in some time.
But it's
That's why
supposed to
there's
be.
5 items, but it should be done on a
Should have
regular
been.
basis.
Okay.
Do I
I
hear?
move to adopt UR 2403, transfer of assets to the city of Bandon.
Do I
Second.
hear a second? Been moved by Josh, seconded by Madeline, that we adopt resolution number UR 24-03, transfer of assets to the city of Bandon. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, something's wrong here.
Yeah, I just noticed that too.
You have an extra one here or that's not up here?
Well, it says 5.10 and then 5.11, and then there's no resolution number on 5.11. So, but it's got the same numbers.
So what's the story here?
This is the same thing as that other agreement Josh mentioned. So the 510, you're sitting as an urban renewal district.
Oh, okay, here
Authorizing the
we're-
transfer with the resolution. 511 is the city accepting the
Oh.
transfer of the asset.
All right, so now do I hear a motion to approve 5.11?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
By Madeline, seconded by Josh or Jerry. Approve items 5.11. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, now what's ordinance 1653? Wait a minute,
That's just for public comments.
what?
Public comments.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is here. John Costa.
Why does, oh, this refers to ordinance 1653. All right. Okay. So we now have time for public comment, and if anybody has signed up to,
Mr. Costa.
yes, John, come on up to the front. We have your 14-page letter, so it won't be necessary to reread it to us, but we have read it carefully.
Yeah, hello, my name's John Costa. I reside at 859 Chicago Avenue Southeast, apartment number 214. And I'd like to once again let the council and the mayor know about my concerns about the overpopulation of crows, which are totally out of hand in my neighborhood. And this has actually had a profound effect on my health. I have some serious health issues going on, and it's exacerbating that. So I don't know if you realize the seriousness of this matter, but to me, it's of great concern. Also spoke to National Wildlife. Well, no, I didn't speak to him. I actually, on their study that they published in 2011, they found that human provided food sources attract crows. So end of story, you feed crows, they're gonna be all over the place. Pretty cause and effect, it's pretty. So also, I'm asking the city of Bandon also to increase the fine rate for violators of this. That would help deter people from doing this, creating a nuisance, creating a health hazard. And I think something really needs to get done about that. I've been trying to talk to council about this for what, a year, 2 years now. And you know, beggars can't beg in front of McKay's, but crows can beg in front of McKay's. Think about that for a minute. Also, there's signage would be also great if people would, our city could put signs up, you know, saying feeding wildlife is prohibited against city ordinance number 1653, I believe it is. Also asking that maybe the manager could continue writing articles in his newsletter every month about this ongoing problem, kind of drill it through people's heads what they're doing. I found like there's 4 more sources that I found out that people are just throwing food out for the crows today. So this is a problem.
John, the first thing we would have to do though is we have to note that crows are not considered songbirds. Because our ordinance says exempt, we've already taken that action, so we're gonna have to take the action to reintroduce them as.
Oh, absolutely. That's I
Yep.
clarified that in my letter.
You did.
And there's a clear distinction between songbirds and crows. Because crows eat songbirds. Crows are a nuisance. Songbirds are not a nuisance like crows are. They don't scatter garbage around town like crows do.
I know it.
So this is all gonna have to get redefined in the city code. And that's what my letter addresses. I would urge everybody to read my letter.
Did read your letter.
So it needs to, that needs to be turned around, that resolution.
Can
needs
I
to be
ask a
revised.
question of the city manager? Could we look at other cities, particularly coastal cities, where this might be a problem and see how they've addressed it? Because when I moved into my neighborhood, which is very near where John lives, a couple of blocks, there weren't any crows. And 10 years ago, now they're everywhere. And if in fact feeding them is bringing them here or causing them to stay in certain residential areas, then I agree, something needs to be done. But there's the problem, John, as you know, you've probably gone down Fillmore and seen the seagulls. The seagull situation there is worse than ever. We have had that man in here probably 6 times into municipal court, okay? And what do? The district attorney is not going to process a feeding the seagull or feeding the crow violation. That's just not going to happen. So they're not going to go to jail. And we keep fining, he keeps paying his fine. And I saw him feeding 2 times in the last week. And it's completely destroying the roof of the building next door that, you know, the people who own that, all right, where it's a home for mentally ill people or older people. And it's destroying that roof, and yet we don't know what to do. So just to show you that we have an ordinance that takes care of seagulls, but the situation continues to exist. So even if we agreed with you 100%, it's very difficult to control this kind of,
My solution to that is raise the fines exponentially. Use the money to enforce the law. Raise the fines from beginning 100, start them at 200 and go up to 500. And then they might start listening. Otherwise, there's no way of stopping. If there's no way of punishing these people or stop them from doing what they're doing, they're gonna just continue.
okay, good. John, let's
Yeah.
at least let Tori look into it and see how other communities handle this. I'm sure this is not, we're not the only place that have this problem. And then we have to look at reinstituting crows back into our ordinance, which is really, well, it was originally, I think it was turkeys. People came in here because the wild turkeys were bothering them. And that's what led to this ordinance. Well, then we got challenged as to whether crow was, and then somebody looked it up and saw that a crow was actually considered a songbird, and then we would, oops, now we can't. So it kind of
Yes.
diluted our ordinance. All right, but can we look at putting that back in and then,
Yes, city staff has access to a listserv. And what we could do is we could put out a question to local cities, coastal cities, to see if they have a similar issue. And if so, how are the crows addressed or any nuisance birds? In addition, we could bring back, if it's a city council directed by consensus, a informational report regarding our findings, and then seek council direction at that point as to whether or not there's support to amend the existing code
okay,
to exclude that exemption.
okay.
Can I ask one more thing?
Sure,
Why was the ordinance resolution changed? Why was crows all of a sudden originally in the 2020 ordinance included crows?
I know, but.
And then in 2022, somehow crows were magically removed. How does
Well,
that work?
because of the songbird issue. Somebody looked it up and it said they were songbirds. All right, but when you go to court and you bring a document and it says crows are songbirds, okay? And the one thing we were really trying to do was to deal with the seagull issue. And you can see how far we've been able to deal with that. It's worse than ever, and it gets worse every month.
And there's also the gentleman that owns the Shooting Star Motel at the south end of town. He's been doing this for years.
I know it.
He goes to McKay's and buys 25 cooked chickens every day
I know it.
and throws them out to the wild. Why hasn't the city go and cited him? Charge him $500.
We have, John, we have cited him. You don't understand. And I believe he pled not guilty and got an attorney. It gets to the point. I was in the hardware store one day when this same man that you're just discussing was buying maybe 25-pound sacks of feed. And I looked over at him and I said, "Oh, are you feeding the seagulls?" He knew who I was. And he said, "And the crows," and it got really nasty in my face.
Yep.
So then he goes out and he slits one of the bags out in front of Ace Hardware, he slits one of the bags and throws seed all over, and the birds just swarm down on him. And these guys that work there, these young kids, they came in and they said, "What was that all about? Well, why is that guy feeding the birds?" And I said, "It was for my benefit." So you see, no matter how hard you try, we came up with an ordinance, but it doesn't always work.
Yep, signage and fines.
All right, thank you, John. Thank you for your continued effort.
Cory,
Yes.
could you see if we can bring something back about the other cities to our July meeting? Is that enough time?
Yes, I'll work with staff to circulate that listserv question or survey tomorrow, and depending on the feedback, that'll determine whether or not we have the information necessary to move forward with a informational report in July. But
Okay, great.
we will
Thank
shoot for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to address the council that hasn't already spoken or wants to speak? If not, we have city manager comments.
I would just also like to mention that in addition to the new lighting at the theater, the city council previously awarded in the budget a complete renovation of the exterior, and that component of the project has been completed. We have the contractor on site prepping the building for paint. We anticipate that the paint will commence later this week, weather permitting. And so that just is another example of how the council values these community facilities and the importance they are to everyone here. So thank you for that.
City council comments? Anybody up there on Zoom want to comment?
No, not tonight.
What?
Not tonight.
Oh, okay, Jerry?
Yes, Memorial Day, I went to the VFW where they were remembering the Vietnam soldiers, sailors, veterans, and it was a very moving situation, and I'm very proud of them. And I know they're going to do it again next year.
Thank you. Chris? I don't really have anything. I like it better when the council's all here. It's hard to sit up here by yourself. But anyway, I guess the meeting is adjourned. We don't have an executive session, right? Thank you for sitting through it. This meeting was more at the end of to catch up with everything that needs to be done through the year. So it wasn't as exciting as some, but.
Okay,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
good night.